You're watching Meet the Movie Press, and coming up, we're going to be talking about James Bond 25, Comic-Con, Anne Hathaway as Barbie, and all of last week's hottest trailers like Ready Player One, Justice League, Thor. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Good morning and welcome back, Simon. I have missed you, big guy.
Did you really, though?
I did. Trust me. You don't even know.
Okay. Yes. Well, it's nice to be back.
I lit a candle in your honor.
It was a D23 first Friday, and then last week, little thing, Comic Con.
We're gonna cover all of that,
Yeah.
but first, I am Jeff Snyder, your host, who is here.
Holding the fort.
Exactly, holding the fort
balls.
down. Editor-in-chief of the Tracking Board, tracking-board.com. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at @TheInSnyder. With me again, reunited, is Simon Thompson. That's your cue.
Sorry, I forgot I was still here.
Yeah.
Simon Thompson. You can find me at Showbiz Simon on Instagram and Twitter, and there's the Facebook page. This is Simon Thompson.
And with us today, you know him as El Mayimbe, Humberto Gonzalez from The Wrap, the ace scooper himself on the Comic-Con post-show. This is pretty big.
What's good? Meet the Movie Press Nation.
All right.
What's good is very broad.
What's poppin', baby?
Tacos, they're great.
Tacos are great. I
love
just learned how to
tacos.
make tacos, by the way. Come on by sometime. I'll cook for you guys. All right, we have a lot to cover. So let's start with Comic-Con. You guys had very different experiences.
Yeah.
You're both kind of have different agendas down there. Why don't we start with you, Humberto?
Well,
How was it?
it was, I think, the best.
Good year,
con
bad
yet.
year?
It was a great year. You kidding? See, I'm part of what you call the Comic-Con Cosa Nostra.
Oh yeah, I've heard about you guys.
There's certain gangsters out there that we get treated like royalty out there. It's my first con that I ever brought a girlfriend with me. You know, Lauren.
You're getting her into supernatural panels, I saw.
Yeah, no, Lauren's a big Star Wars fangirl, big Funko Pop fangirl, and she's never been. She asked the network back in March to have off that Friday so she could attend the con that weekend. They also gave her Monday off. She went and she's all in. She was emotionally invested. She was crying.
Was it better with a girlfriend, or would you have preferred a little bit more freedom so you could bounce around and do more things that you wanted to do?
I've done con for I think it was 13, 14 years. This is my first time that it was different. We had a blast. She took it all in.
And you're down there covering the big panels.
Yeah, I went on to cover Fox, Marvel, DC, all the film stuff, and meet sources.
And you hit the floor as well.
Oh my God! Yes, yeah, we hit the floor. You know, those galleries like Celebrities in Disguise or cool cosplay.
Sure.
There's a bunch of cool cosplay. There was a cool costumes there, like McDore, Taco Bell. Get it? You know the bell.
Oh yes.
There was a lot of that. The party scene was
lit.
It was lit. Oh my! I went to everything. I had a blast.
Did you have a favorite party?
EW, dude.
Okay, Simon. Now, Simon, what did you do down there at Comic-Con?
I was producing a load of TV for Sci-Fi internationally.
Oh, Simon, you may have
yes.
heard of them.
So yes, they're a tiny little company. As part of my work with NBC Universal, and it was great. So I focused on mostly some film, but a lot of TV stuff this year, and a lot of the experience stuff, because it was really about kind of giving viewers around the world the idea of what it's like to go to Comic-Con.
To be there,
yeah,
right?
which is great.
Putting them right in the middle of the action.
And as we know, Hall H tends to dominate a lot of the news from Hall H. There's a lot of other stuff going on around, big sort of TV shows and TV stars and stuff that are there doing other stuff as well. So that was my focus for this year, and also a lot of the parties. I thought Comic-Con almost broke me this year. I genuinely thought
You
I
guys
was going
stink
to
of booze.
die.
I mean, both
no,
of
it's
you.
just I woke up on Monday, and because I got back on Sunday, and I woke up on Monday, and I was like, oh my God. I almost cried when I got back to LA at Union Station. I was so happy. I sat in Tracks as a cocktail bar there. I had a little old-fashioned and I listened to some jazz. It was so LA. But then Monday, I woke up and I was like, this is just like still in a bizarre haze.
Well, it's got to be tough to do D23 and Comic-Con back to back.
Back to back. I mean, they were both big weekends. There's a lot of work involved in those. But there's also when if you're in Hall H, it's great. You see certain things in there. You're fundamentally in one place. You go onto the floor and stuff like that. But I was walking from different parts of San Diego. I was jumping in Ubers and going to convention centers and this and that and hotels and rooms in hotels. It was relentless for 4 days.
Did you guys run into each other at all?
Didn't. No. I don't think we did. No.
Okay.
But,
were
no, it was
you
great.
recognized at all, like in public?
I did get recognized. Sometimes because of
I
this.
saw some pictures, fans taking pictures with you
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, they would stop Lauren, they would stop me.
Oh yeah, that helps.
I think it was equal this time around. It's Supernatural pants. She got mobbed. I was getting a little scared. Okay, all right. Sometimes I have to step up and be bodyguard. Okay, yo, gotta give her room. No, it was great. The thing, what people don't get about Comic-Con is that it's an emotion. What those fans do, they do out of love down there. It's an emotional experience.
No shit. Some of them are waiting in line till since Tuesday.
Yeah, they sleep on the sidewalks. So that's why I was so disappointed. Like when one panel, like you got kids sleeping on sidewalks for 2-3 days to see like the first look at Deadpool or Cable, and they don't deliver. That hurts. Because I feel for those fans, you know, and they're emotionally invested. They get into it. They cry. Like I had 3 staffers never go to Comic-Con before. This is the first time. My mission. I'm getting them into OH. I got them into OH, and they all text me, "Oh my God, this is the greatest day of my life. Thank you so much. This is the best day of my life." I mean, it's cool.
Do you guys think, just for the average fan, is there a better way that Comic-Con could organize things?
Okay, Comic-Con is making out like bandits, and they had signal jammers all throughout Hall H to prevent the piracy. But they need to better invest in their infrastructure. From what I understand, the D23 Wi-Fi was flawless. Everybody was telling me. At Comic-Con, I had a jetpack. It was the best thing in Wi-Fi, and it got its ass kicked inside Hall H. Because they're jamming signal to 7,000 people. They have to invest in their infrastructure and have better Wi-Fi. It's ridiculous.
And I think getting into Hall H, first of all, I think it's kind of, if you go to Comic-Con and you're going to buy a hotel room, even if you're staying in a shitty motel, it's going to cost you like $200 a night.
Yeah,
200-300.
Yeah. So you're really looking at, even before you do anything, before you eat anything, before you start anything, before you buy any merchandise, you're looking at about $2.5 grand. You're going to spunk up the wall on just basically being there. And if you are one of the people that wants to go to Hall H, you're going to spend a lot of that time, if you're really super devoted, like a super fan, you're going to spend a lot of time sleeping on the streets or under tents just to get in line and be there 25 hours, 36 hours beforehand. What they should do is do ticket lottery.
Yeah, they have to
They
do
should
something.
do ticket lottery, and everybody should go into a pot, and you should be allocated it, and then if people can't take it, they should let more people in.
Because I just foresee like a bad situation happening one year. You know, where somebody doesn't get in, or just like, I mean, potentially a riot or a mob down there.
You wouldn't want to do that down there with all the local and federal agencies. Like I did a story out there.
Oh yeah, that was a really good story, a very interesting story about how different security forces are dressed in costume. Some of them.
Last year there was a SEAL team inside Hall H.
Dressed as Ninja Turtles.
Ninja
right?
Turtles
That
and
was good.
Superman. The guy had his gear under, but they were kept. People thought they were just regular congoers, and they would like, hey, take a picture, it's cool. So it was hard for them to blend in. But there was a FBI hostage rescue, FBI anti-terrorism.
All right, so big agencies. All right,
big
well,
agencies.
Guys, we have to talk. You know, we have to move from the experience to the movies themselves. Yes. Now, I covered. I've never been to Comic-Con. I covered it this year in my underwear on my couch.
You would love it. You got to come down with me, bro.
And I really feel like I didn't miss that much. I didn't get to see the Infinity War trailer, and I haven't seen the new Black Panther footage that you guys have seen. But other than that, I feel like I pretty much saw everything. So tell me, what was the highlight of Comic-Con for you? What stood out? Simon, we're going to start with you.
Okay, two things that stood out for me, and one thing that really pleasantly surprised me, and it was a TV thing. So the two things that I really loved were the Blade Runner 2049 experience.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
It was really good. One thing that what they did was they kept it contained in a large but not too large space. So it wasn't kind of let's try and spread it out over too much of an area, which meant it was impactful and tight. And how it worked was you would get a wristband, you'd go in, they'd scan it, you'd then be part of the experience. You would then go through, you would experience part of a VR attraction. There would be a wall that would then rise when the VR experience was ended. You would take your VR headset off, and right in front of you there were characters from the Blade Runner world, and you enter the Blade Runner
in the
world,
market,
and it was
right?
so realistic, so well done. They had characters reacting as if a replicant was on the loose. They would stage fights. They would the characters would interact with you. It was fantastic, absolutely spot on every single.
And did
part
you
of
do
it.
that too, Umberto?
Oh yeah, Wednesday night. That was the first party I went to. The Blade Runner experience at 7, and did everything he did. It was good food, good atmosphere. They had actors who wouldn't break character.
No, that did look
phenomenal.
Cool. I saw photos of
phenomenal.
They would not break character.
No, and as far as presentations, I really enjoyed Stranger Things, and I got to talk to the cast, and I'm doing some more stuff on that for Forbes in the next few weeks. And also, the thing that really surprised me was another experience, which was right outside the Hard Rock, for a TV show on NBC called Midnight Texas.
Okay.
It was really well done. It was as good, if not better, than the standard of some of the houses you see at, say, the likes of Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. It was really, really good. I knew very little about the show. I did it just before going and talk to the cast and the creators of the show about it, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Talking of Halloween Horror Nights, by the way, Ash vs. Evil Dead has just been announced as one of their new mazes this year, which is going to be phenomenal.
I hope you'll take me to these when you get like a VIP maze invite, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going there all the time. But no, so those were the three things I think which were non-Hall H, which really stood out for me as high points.
Okay, Umberto, what about for you?
Wired Cafe, Viceland Party, EW, nah. Let me stop.
All those little vol-au-vents.
It's like an episode of Entourage out there. That's why I love going. No, Hall H, it was all about Hall H for me.
Yeah.
The lack of presentation from Fox was disappointing. And we weren't like bitching or anything like that, but it was like, again, there were people who slept 2 days on a sidewalk to see the first look at cable and didn't deliver.
Right.
I understand they have to promote Kingsman, but what stood out to me, the Jared Leto like hologram on the Blade Runner, that was cool.
Yeah.
Justice League panel, like the thing that was with me, I sat right in front of all the senior management at Warner's. Suji Hara, Toby, Sue Crow, Jeff Johns, and Blair Rich were literally right behind me. I didn't care. I was gonna fanboy out. The Justice League trailer did it for me, and then Black Panther and Infinity War. That Infinity War footage,
I can't wait to see it.
Destroyed Comic Con.
Yeah, that's what everybody says is incredible.
It is, man.
I am looking forward to laying eyes on that thing. For me, though, from home, I loved the Ready Player One trailer.
Yes.
It wasn't quite what I was expecting. I thought that they would sort of set up the story more and introduce the contest and like the challenge aspect of it. Maybe show Mark Rylance's character. But you know, this was really the money shots.
Yeah.
They just wanted to show the money shots, and I gotta say, they look pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ready Player One
Yes.
is something I was previously not that interested in. I was curious and kind of intrigued by it. I'm really on board with it now.
What a tagline! Are you ready? I love that. That's
Loved
great.
it.
What things do we learn up at Comic-Con? We learned that Michelle Pfeiffer is going to be playing Janet Van Dyne. You said you were on this, buddy?
Oh, dude. So I'm at the Wired Cafe literally an hour before, and dumbass source comes up to me, dude, they're going to make an announcement for Janet Van Dyne. Okay, so dude, come on, do this, bro. 2 sentences and out. No, it's somebody cool who has a history with superhero movies. So there's only 2 candidates I could think of, Kim Basinger and Michelle Pfeiffer. So I told the editors, get this ready, get ready to blast. You know, I'm like texting, because literally at Comic-Con Hall, all you could literally do is text. So I'm texting the desk, and then they do the Marvel intro, and then they recapping the last 10 years, and when they turn the camera around, it's Michelle Pfeiffer. This is how you're going to be Janet Van Dyne. At least we were ready to be one of the first outlets out, because I prepped the edit desk.
Yeah, you did a very good job, and I know you were trumpeting. You were out first with a lot of stuff.
Flashpoint, baby.
Let me ask you that. Were you tipped off on Flashpoint?
I knew. Come on, dude. You're talking to a fanboy who this is a lifestyle.
Were you tipped off?
Of course.
Because I thought your coverage came really fast, and you had full stories. It was like who is Flashpoint? What is Flashpoint?
They asked me not to spoil it.
Okay.
So what I did was the day before, I like to give scoop clues to my fans and stuff. So I tweeted a picture. I tweeted a picture the day before. They lost their minds. The minute the thing came out, we blasted. We were first worldwide in trade and in fanboy, and we had full write-ups, everything. We could talk about that.
What did you make? I mean, what did you make the Flashpoint announcement? Are you familiar with that storyline, Simon?
Only very vaguely. I mean, I've kind of had to get to know more about the other characters in Justice League a little bit more, because obviously it's going to be a huge movie later this year. From what I hear, I think it's really exciting. I think it's really intriguing.
Didn't the show already do it?
An interesting way to take it. Yes.
In the most layman, non-fanboy terms, think of it this way. Flashpoint will be DC's version of Marvel's Civil War. They could stick Wonder Woman in there, Batman, or an alternate Batman. They could stick Aquaman. It's a very clever way for them to do the Civil War story with all their heroes, where basically the Flash, he's so fast he could go back in time, stop the murder of his mother, but he sets off events in a timeline that he has to reset, then get back to the present day.
Which I think is also really shrewd from a selling a movie point of view, aside from the fact that it's a great storyline. I think that if you've got a couple of popular characters now that are really resonating on their own, as we found with Marvel, when you get like a surprise like an Ant-Man, or Wonder Woman was going to do well, has done phenomenally well. You can use those as really strong selling points for the movie moving forward, when perhaps with things like Justice League, you've got characters like Cyborg that don't perhaps already have that following. And I think if you then go back and forth with these established characters, it's very easy to market, it's very easy to pull people in with them.
There were rumors after Flashpoint, in the wake of the Flashpoint announcement, that Jeffrey Dean Morgan, that we may see him as Batman because he played Thomas Wayne, right?
Yeah, I would count on it, absolutely. Flashpoint Batman, Thomas I mean, he's played the comedian from before, and Warner's always like to work
Right.
with the
Oh no,
same
I
people.
could see
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan actually in the
Absolutely.
cowl. I mean, it would be a little bit surprising, but
The way the movie ends, the way the comic book ends, is very cool, and they plan to do that in the movie.
If I can just say a little something for our viewers
Yeah,
here
sure.
who aren't familiar with Flashpoint, there's a great DC animated film called, I think it's just called The Flashpoint or Justice League The Flashpoint, that covers the grounds of exactly what the Flashpoint was, and I wasn't familiar with it until I saw that short, little film, an animated film, and it's so good. Like, the story's
have you
pretty
seen that
great.
one? I know you watch a lot of those animated movies.
I watched them all. But the thing is, like, to answer your question, they did a version of it on the TV show, but with the movie
Thank
now,
you, by the
it
way.
could. Oh, no problem.
In the booth.
Oh.
Sorry. Go on.
They not have the chance to do the storyline. To do the storyline justice in the movie version. That's why they wanted.
Okay.
That's why they wanted Zemeckis, because it's a time travel movie. Think about it.
I see.
Back to the Flasher.
And they still haven't announced a director, and it does seem like Shazam is going before Flashpoint, so maybe they are waiting for Zemeckis to finish up.
Yeah, he's doing what
Marwen.
Marvel.
Yeah. There was also news that Wonder Woman 2
Yeah.
got a release date, although it wasn't at the panel. They announced Wonder Woman 2 at the panel, so they confirmed that it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they didn't say anything about it, really, right? And then 2 or 3 days later, it gets a release date. And then yesterday, Variety has a big story about how there's a groundbreaking Oscar campaign in the works. Or were you surprised just by the timing of the release date thing? Like, why not give that to fans as throw a bone to them?
That should have been made inside Hall H, that announcement.
Yeah.
I don't know why go down there, make the expenditures that you did to do the panel that you did, and besides Flashpoint, end it with the announcement of perhaps their biggest character right now in the universe. That confused me a tad. I'm not surprised by the Oscar. I personally think Best Picture nomination for sure, Best Director.
You think that Wonder Woman is going to get a Best Picture nomination?
I'm not Chris Tapley, but my thing is, and that's his beat, but I don't know, honestly, because these voters, they're very pretentious. But I have a feeling there's so much history being made with this one movie that it might happen. But on that topic, what I really think the Academy needs to do, real talk, they need to start considering Kevin Feige for the Thalberg Award. Come on, bro. 12 movies, 19 movies, 12 billion.
He's a young guy. He's a young.
But look how accomplished he is. We're both the same age. He's 44.
There's a lot of accomplished people in town. Kevin's not the only one. He's got a long time.
12 billion in box office, 19 movies in, all successful. And it's for a producer. He exemplifies, and he is what that award means. I think they should just give it to him, man. Eventually.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, maybe 20 years from now. He's got a long career ahead of him.
Yes.
I would be very surprised if Wonder Woman gets a Best Picture nomination.
Me too.
It's a movie that I really enjoyed.
It's a good movie. It's not there. It's not at that level.
But check this out. This is the angle we're not seeing. Their ratings are dwindling because nobody's really watching. Every year it goes down and down and down. If they inclusive of superhero movies, they're going to goose their views up this year.
Listen, that may be true, but you can't just get 6,000 or 7,000 people to just think that way.
I also think the viewing figures of the Oscars is, I mean, working in TV, I don't think they're really that important.
No one is filling out the ballot being like, oh, we got to get this show good ratings. Like, I'm going to vote for Wonder Woman.
The Oscars are kind of, you don't even, it's one of those TV shows where there's so much talk and there's so much stuff around it that few people can actually watch it, but there's this tornado.
Right,
and
it doesn't justify
This is the
the
little bit
hype.
of the cone, and everything else is the Oscars. It's all about advertising. It's all about it's all about the talk afterwards. It's more about the editorial than it is about people watching the show.
I'll throw Patty in the race. I'll throw Patty in the director
absolutely.
race. I don't think this has a chance at Best Picture.
No, not
It's just not good enough.
How many? There's 10 pictures in the category, right?
No, it's up to 10, and mathematically it's almost impossible to have 10. So you're talking about 9.
Okay.
Or fewer, but and then there's a whole lot of year left. I mean, we have all the fall prestige films and stuff. To me, Logan is such a better comic book movie. If Wonder Woman were to be nominated over Logan, it would strictly be a political thing.
Personal feelings aside for that director, I think Logan is another one. Like, people no, seriously. I'm a professional.
I remember.
Yeah, no, the movie's incredible. And that is as Oscar worthy, I think, as Wonder Woman. Absolutely.
Before we get off Comic Con, a couple of things.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch left.
In the chat. Someone was saying, and this is something that's come up recently. It's one of the first things we talked about on the show today was what can they change about Comic Con, and this is something that's an idea that a lot of people have floated. This is from Zeno Hour. San Diego needs to improve the center, or Comic Con should move to LA. Now, I totally understand that. Vegas would be a good idea. The thing is that when you look at the footprint of stuff that goes around Comic Con, the experiences, the kind of all the things within the restaurants, the bars, the art galleries, etc.
The pop-ups, whatever.
The pop-ups. There isn't the footprint. Where do you want to put it? If you want to put it at the Anaheim Convention Center, there isn't the footprint around there to make that happen. Physically, and then aside from if you physically can make those things happen there, you're not going to get the people tray. You're not going to get the ability to skirt the people through it, to snake them through. It's going to be a fucking disaster. If you put it in Vegas, you can do it. There's a lot of space there.
That city's designed to have the influx of 50,000 people.
So you can handle that. In LA,
there'd be no hotel issues in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. Staples Center, not going to work. That's going to be downtown again. Problem with footprint. There is nowhere that in LA that you could house the people. Surely for the event itself, everything that goes around that, which is the color of Comic Con, which is the flavor of Comic Con outside of what's actually being announced inside the building. There's just not the footprint right now.
Should they split it up? Because right now everything is sort of like centered around Saturday, right? That's the money day.
Yeah.
Money day, yeah.
Should tickets or passes cost more for Saturday and Sunday than Thursday and Friday, or that kind of thing?
I would think so.
Or you get to choose between either the Marvel panel or the DC panel?
Nah, Saturdays. That's all. DC will always open and Marvel will always close. The kids will just go out there for Saturday or the whole con. But the thing is, Comic-Con's beginning to, and the vendors and the hotels are starting to fleece people trying to do business out there. I tried to throw a party with the Wrap this year, and the prices they came at me were astronomical, and I couldn't get it
it's
off
like
the
if
ground.
you're doing a wedding, people go like, "Oh, can I hire a room? It's $1,000. Oh, it's for a wedding. $5,000. Same fucking room.
$15,000 just for a room before anything inside a venue. Okay, not including food, beverage, or liquor.
Yeah.
No, it's activating theirs. That's why you're seeing so many offsite events.
Yeah.
And Comic-Con also is starting to fleece. I mean, Mile High Comics has been a booth presence at Comic-Con for 44 years, and they didn't go back this year because it's not $18,000 to rent the floor booth, and they didn't have good traffic last year, so they pulled out. A lot of vendors, comic book vendors, they're
which is the lifeblood of the convention itself.
They're starting to
pull out. They're the people who can't afford to get down there.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting situation.
The only way they could do it in LA is if they had the event. They either split it over two venues. So, say if it was downtown, they had it in two venues, or if they were doing it in, say, the Staples Center or something, then you start to use Broadway in downtown LA, and some of the movie theaters and things like the Ace Hotel. You start to use those as venues for installations, experiences, and stuff like that. I mean, but that's one
I have
option.
a crazy idea.
I don't think it's going to work, though.
This is how you solve. If it's going to stay in San Diego, they just renewed the lease for another 3-4 years. This is how you solve the crowd problem with Hall H at Comic-Con. Don't put it in Hall H. Put it inside Petco Park. Petco could seat like 40, 50,000. That means everybody could get into Hall H and watch this panel and watch it live on the screens like a concert or something. Petco works with them anyway. They do activations and stuff. They might as well shift their Hall H presentations.
Maybe you will see that in the future. I don't know.
Petco, literally across the street.
Statistically and logistically, I think that's a really good way of doing it. I think the only thing that fans would miss from that is the fact that in between you and your seat and there, you've got a lot of grass. You've got a baseball field. You're not up close. You're not going to be in that front
Might as well be watching it at home.
Seeing the sweat of Tom Hiddleston.
Were you in the cage? Were you in the press cage? Or
no.
you in the reserve seat?
Is there a
in
cage?
the reserve seats previously. Yeah.
Like in the front of the stage with the paparazzi photographers.
Okay.
No. I've always had reserve seats in Hall H. I mean, it's still really close to the front, and it's fine. But it's like if you want to be super close, if you want to smell Tom Hiddleston, you want to be in that first bit.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that at Petco.
I mean, you had sci-fi behind you. You're the king of Comic-Con. But is it hard to get those reserved seats inside these panels? Like,
it depends on who you
like. Are the bloggers that we know?
Yeah.
Many of the bloggers that we know, are they waiting in lines or are they just ushered in?
No, I went through Corpcoms, Fox, Marvel,
Well,
DC.
that's for the trades and stuff.
And
but
for
like,
the websites also. Websites get those too.
Okay.
Like the fanboy outlets, like the bigger ones at least.
Right.
Yeah. They
Okay.
get
I
to
was
sit in the
just-
reserve seating.
But
Like
also-
the Prime, like Ain't It Cool, Comic Book, Ourselves. All the big outlets are sitting in the reserve section.
But also, if you look at something like sci-fi, it's a huge brand. But also, when you're covering that for sci-fi, I was doing international. There are people from Sci-Fi Wire. There are people who are doing The Daily Show with Zach. There are people who are doing separate things for sci-fi. There are sci-fi independent production things going on. So it's when you're going as sci-fi, there's a lot of heads to that hydra.
I see.
And then everybody wants a piece of that pie. So then the pie's got to be sliced up. So it's a different kind of beast to going as an outlet.
Is it hard for you guys to party all night and then wake up in the mornings? Because
Yeah,
I'm sure
that's
people
why I
are
felt
curious
like
about
I
that.
was
Here's
dead
the thing,
on Monday.
I don't drink really. Okay, so, and I told Laura, she got drunk every night.
Your videos were great when you crash in bed.
She went and drunk, sung a song, and rickshaw. She had a blast, but I told her, babe, you got to pace yourself. You just got here. We take it easy. 'Cause it's all up in bars. It's hosted bars, top shelf liquor.
Sure.
And then, but then come Monday, everybody's whipped. But I pace myself.
I don't really drink either. So when I go to a festival, I mean, I'm out late, but it's because I'm going to the midnight movies.
Yes.
No, it's just it's the physicality of Comic-Con that I found particularly exhausting. Because, like I say, I was moving around inside, outside. While you're inside, you're trying to shuffle past everyone. You've got a crew with you, and then you're going across the road to the bayfront, and then you're going somewhere else. It's
nonstop. It's relentless.
It's relentless, and I was doing like 12-hour shoots. Yeah. So doing one press line, ends, next press line, ends, next room, ends, next room.
Yeah.
And it's just that. It's not even like the being up late or
just
the getting
takes a lot
up early.
out of you.
Yeah, it's when you're trying to move in Comic-Con, if you've never been there, there's a thing called the Comic-Con shuffle, where you're like an old person shuffling around trying to get from A to B.
No, I got in shape for Comic-Con. I did cardio for like a month. An hour of cardio in the morning for like a month, getting ready physically.
I have to do that to go to Sundance because the air is so thin.
Oh,
it is funny, though, when I go to a festival and I complain about like the wear and tear or just being exhausted. My family's like, oh, tough life, huh? Seeing 5 movies today.
So much sitting down, I just want to stand up.
You know?
No, I did a tweet about this. Stop complaining about Comic-Con.
There was other stuff, still that maybe wasn't at Comic-Con, but Comic-Con related. We found out Captain Marvel will not be in Infinity War.
Yeah.
Right.
Does that surprise anybody?
No.
It's surprising to me because I always thought anyone who's ever made an appearance in a Marvel movie
Would be in it, right?
In Infinity War.
The only way I thought that she would appear in Infinity War was going to be in a post-credit sequence because I don't think they've done enough on it so far
that's
to be able
possible.
to do it.
I mean, let's
that's
be
the only
honest.
way I think we'll see her in this.
We found out Captain Marvel is going to be set in the 90s as well. And what was the other piece of info? It was
Nick Fury has 2 eyes.
Right, Nick Fury. Exactly. We're going to see Nick Fury without the eye patch.
Yeah, we find out why he has the eye patch, I guess. Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
The first
I like the
appearance-
idea of the 90s. I mean, to do like a kind of grunge 90s soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh.
That would be good. Like some Nirvana in a Marvel movie. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That had better be coming.
The first appearance of the Skrulls, too. That's a villain that fans have wanted for a long time. Right?
Again, not Marvel or DC stuff, but there were some other comic book news. We saw Jared Leto.
Yeah.
I had it.
Entertaining the offer for Bloodshot.
Yeah.
Is this a good idea? It doesn't strike me as a good idea.
It's a great idea. See, because I like the Valiant universe and I like what those guys are trying to do.
I like Bloodshot.
Rothman desperately needs IP, and he sees
Yeah, they want to do a whole universe there. Maybe a little ambitious, I think. But
again, at the Wire Cafe, I got tipped off that the offer, but you know how sources are. Could you hold it because he might not accept or whatever and stuff. So
and he is fickle. Having tracked him making certain deals over the last few years since he won the Oscar. To me, though, since he won the Oscar, he's done Suicide Squad. He's in Blade Runner. He's supposed to star in Tron.
Yeah.
And now he's got the offer for Bloodshot. And there is one more movie, The Outsider, which is going to be on. It may be on Netflix. I'm not sure who has it, but that's like a Yakuza thing. But I don't know. I'm just surprised. This guy wins an Oscar, and now he's just taking on these huge. Yeah, but like, why? It's not like he's already a rock star. He's been acting since he was a teenager. Like, he has the money. What does he need to cash in for? You'd think that Oscar win would open doors for him to take on the more like challenging, dramatic performances. But he just seems interested in doing these blockbusters. I don't even think his personality is technically really right for.
When he's made bank, he can do those dramatic things. He can do. He can then become a DiCaprio. He can then become a whatever. I think that's the plan. He'll get all these blockbusters. He'll get his cachet at the box office, so you can do like Jake Gyllenhaal's done. Jake has done so many movies that were big studio movies. Now he gets to do the tiny movies that aren't really going to make a huge amount of money, but that he's going to really want to do. Robert Pattinson's another really good example. You do these movies that make a shitload of money, and then you can go off and do these
Does
things.
Bloodshot wear a mask?
The Bloodshot
No idea.
basically.
Okay, I didn't know.
It's like the Spawn. It's an offshoot of some basically.
Which is the other thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, he's basically a soldier brought back to life and
Yeah.
turned into a killing machine.
Right.
But he's got issues with
Universal
his memory. and
Soldier,
stuff, yeah.
basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a version.
RoboCop.
Yeah,
I just have-
And that's not a complaint. I love that shit.
I mean, I love
I'll
this.
watch that all day.
I read the books, so it's awesome.
I was just surprised by Leto and Bloodshot, and again, there's
Again,
no
it's just an
deal
offer.
yet. Right? We will see if that happens. The other thing was a Spawn announcement. Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, was going to direct a movie for Blumhouse. Now, Spawn, the original, one of the worst movies ever made, I think. So
Come on.
you're looking at me funny. What are you arguing right now?
It is a terrible movie, but I've got a soft spot for Spawn.
It's going to be interesting
Great
to see
soundtrack.
Spawn,
Yeah.
to see Todd work with Jason, because Todd is very adamant on his vision. It's practically a horror movie where Spawn's in the background. You barely see the guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is a can't-lose proposition, I
Yeah.
think, because of Jason Blum, because of Blumhouse and the way that they
making
make
it cheap
movies.
enough, yeah.
Exactly. If you make a $5 or $10 million, or even a $15 or $20 million
Try
Spawn
3 to
movie,
5.
$3 million would be super cheap for a Spawn
You
movie.
don't see the goddamn Spawn. You barely see him in the movie. I don't know how they're going to market
I'm
that.
saying his movies are typically $5 million, even if you tripled the budget, because this is a built-in piece of IP, which Blumhouse doesn't often do. They tried to do it with Gem, and it didn't really work. But at $15 million, it seems like a decent gamble.
A day before I went to Comic-Con, I was very, very lucky to invited as part of the friends and family for the Legion M event.
Yes.
At the TCL Chinese
Yes.
Theatre in Hollywood, where Stan Lee was getting his hands and feet put in cement. And it was an absolute honor to be invited. I was on one side, there was me in the front row on one side. Other side, the front row was Feige.
I couldn't go to that, man. I had to prepare.
It was Todd. It was Chadwick Boseman. Everybody was there. Stan Lee was there. Just being so close to that was absolutely amazing. I mean, Stanley
regret
almost
that.
did that. He did the thing to me, and I've got a little lovely picture on my Instagram account at Showbiz Simon. And I actually went up to Todd because Todd was one of the people there who was speaking, and I said, you know, you don't know me. I said, but I'd really love you to do another Spawn movie. And he was like, and then the next day it came out, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's because of me.
No, we were all embargoed. We all got the
Yeah.
releases and we were embargoed.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think now is also the time. It's been 25 years now that, I mean, Rob Liefeld wrote a fantastic screenplay about that whole time period, about the founding of Image, how they both did Marvel and became rock stars at Comic-Con like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it's now time, I mean, think about it. Deadpool's the biggest IP right now in comic books. That's a Rob Liefeld creation. Todd McFarlane, Spawn. These guys are still around doing comic books, creating big IP. I think it's time. A biopic should be in order. Hulu, if you're listening, or Amazon, reach out to Liefeld and get that script.
There was more comic book moves.
Yeah.
We're not even done. News,
Nice.
sorry.
Yeah.
There was one big thing that did come out of a Fox-related panel. Over at the Legion panel, Noah Hawley just like casually tossed off that he's making a Doctor Doom movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys? I mean, is this a terrible idea, an inspired idea, a way for
I do like
Fox
your-
to hold on to the Fantastic Four rights in a sense because they're still making, they're still using the characters from that universe?
Yes. That's what it sounds like to me.
It's funny. I think when you use the phrase "tossed off," I just think I don't want to see. I think Doctor Doom would just be a wank. I don't want to. I'm sorry. I'm just not interested. They've completely tarnished that for me.
I mean,
I'm
listen,
not interested.
I'm sure we all feel like the Fantastic Four rights should go back to Marvel, and so we can see what Kevin would do with them. But they are staying at Fox, supposedly, and so if you're going to keep them at Fox, if you've made that decision to renew the rights, and that means you have to move forward with another movie in that world, I'd rather get a Doctor Doom movie than another Fantastic Four movie that like I feel like I've seen that before. You know what I mean? Like, at least this is some way of a fresh entry point.
But I just don't, as a character,
Speak up, I mean.
I don't know. I don't think
Sorry,
they know what
Simon.
they're doing over there, man, when it comes to these characters, obviously.
But they
I
nailed
mean,
Deadpool.
Right.
And Logan.
But they know what they're doing with their mutant universe. Don't get me
Okay.
wrong. But I think they're having great difficulty trying to figure out the Fantastic Four and that character. I mean, you can't what are you gonna do? A Doctor Doom Begins movie? Like how he became Doctor Doom, or
And there are other rumors about maybe doing a movie about the kids, too. Have you heard those rumors?
The kids.
Like Reed's kid
Oh.
or something.
Kid Fantastic.
Sorry, what were you
To
gonna
me,
say?
that's just a reach. I mean, the thing is that when you've got a character like Deadpool, the reason they got it wrong first time round was they missed the IP of Deadpool. They missed what the character was. They got it completely wrong. And when they got it right was because they got the IP of Deadpool and they put that Deadpool out there. Doctor Doom doesn't have an alternative IP. He's a villain. You can do the origin story, but I don't think people are invested in the end of the journey to want to even start going on that trip. I just don't know.
The thing is, Deadpool is the most popular character in the Marvel comics right now. That's the irony, that Marvel does not own the character that's most popular in the comics right now. It's him.
All right, there's one more comic book related item I want to move on to before we get Simon's box office report, and that's the Mashable story about Zack Snyder and Justice League and David Ayer. This got a lot of play online. I didn't really see what the news was. No one really said that Zack Snyder was going to be that involved in the DC universe going forward. Obviously, a terrible tragedy has struck his family, and Joss Whedon has taken over on Justice League. I'm just not... This was positioned as like this big reveal, and I just don't get it. I don't get the David Ayer thing either, because, yes, he was... announced as developing Gotham City Sirens, which was, suspiciously absent from the titles that were flashed at the DC panel, right? But it's just a development title, and again, I think that there is some bad blood there with Warner Brothers and what happened with Bright. The Will Smith movie, and David, that movie was in Warner Brothers' hands, and it just slipped through their fingers and went to Netflix, and now it's being positioned as this game changer for Warner Brothers, a rival at Warner Brothers, and I do think that there is some a lingering issue there with Ayer and Warner Brothers, even though Gotham City Sirens was announced obviously after
See, who broke that? Boris, I think. Boris broke a lot of the spin-offs of the Batman universe.
Yes, he did.
Right. So the thing is, from my understanding, DC's concentrating first on the initial 7 members of the Justice League. Let's get the Wonder Woman movie, the Batman movie, the Flash movie. Let's get all these.
It's the 7th. Wait, I was like, who's the 7th person? Green Lantern? Okay.
Green Lantern. So let's get all these characters up, and then we'll worry about the spin-offs like Nightwing and Gotham City Sirens and stuff. Here's a cool tip. People. The lack of attention to detail. Oh, they're developing a Harley Quinn and Joker team-up movie. No, they're not, because that's the Gotham City Sirens movie. The Gotham City Sirens is basically Harley and Joker teaming up, not separate. They're both the same thing. But no, it's David Ayer, man. It's like he has bad blood with the studio there. I'm pretty sure they'll develop it, and it'll probably be a post 2020 title. But I don't see him directing unless it's a different administration.
Right. Okay, I just thought that was interesting, the way that story sort of got blown up, because it was like
anything on
didn't
DC
come as a
blows up.
surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, Simon, why don't you? There's like 15 minutes left in the show, so why don't you give us the box office update?
Okay, so only 2 major releases really this weekend: Atomic Blonde and the Emoji Movie. Previews last night for Atomic Blonde, 1.5 million. Emoji Movie, 900,000. Emoji Movie, I think, is currently still 0%.
It is the worst reviewed film of the year, I believe.
Oh my God.
I think it's still going to win the weekend over Atomic Blonde.
This is the weird thing, because the weekend it's looking at Atomic Blonde is around 20 million, but Emoji Movie, apparently Sony is saying 20 million. Other studios are thinking it's going to come in at around 30 million. I don't get the appeal of the Emoji Movie. Obviously, that I'm not really the target market for that. But it kind of upsets me when Atomic Blonde, that is getting good reviews, or at worst middling reviews, is going to lose out by potentially 10 million to a movie that is just...
Yeah, but I mean, the kids are driving the business for Emoji Movie.
Yeah.
Which is why...
is it? What?
I pulled up the tracking, and Atomic Blonde's got an 8% first choice, and Emoji's got a 7% first choice. It's literally neck and neck. So,
well, how many kids are being pulled, though, for tracking and that kind of thing?
But it's... so it's looking like Atomic Blonde is going to fall behind Emoji Movie. Neither of them will... I mean, it's going to be tight, I think, with Dunkirk this weekend. I mean, it did... Really
Dunkirk, I think, will be in the middle of those two.
It was a 50.5 opening weekend. I think it did 70-something for the whole week.
We'll see what the hold is.
I saw Dunkirk yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I liked it as I really enjoyed it as a movie. I thought it was brilliant. I thought the cinematography was excellent. I loved the talent. I thought they did a fantastic job. I liked the script. I didn't think it was over-egged of Christopher Nolan's movies. It's one of my favorite. It was one of the most cohesive. It didn't feel like he tagged on anything at the end. It felt like a really solid movie. It really affected me. I was in tears by the end of it. Within an hour of leaving the theater, it didn't have that same effect on me.
It didn't stay with you.
It just didn't stay with me.
That's what most people I've talked to said. It just didn't stir them. It's a brilliant technical exercise.
Great exercise in filmmaking.
Wonderful, yes, a wonderful
Great
achievement. And you know, I certainly respect Christopher Nolan as a director, but people have said this criticism is bullshit, but it's 100% true. His films just lack emotion. They just do. And maybe he's just that kind of guy. He also clearly has some kind of hearing problem. I mean, everyone I've talked to says I can't understand the dialogue to this movie.
There were several little nuggets of dialogue that I was like, no, missed it.
I mean, this is like the third or fourth film that no one else's complains about sound or dialogue in any other movie. This has been 3 or 4 Nolan movies in a row.
Although there were people who saw The Artist and then came out of the theater and complained that there was no talking in it. that actually happened. It happened in the UK.
Dunkirk also has another achievement: the most nail bites. I mean, dude, you would like chewed your hands off next. I was sitting next to this guy and he chewed his hands off at the screening. Yeah. Like he was either nervous or
it had me on the edge of my seat. I was totally into the movie. It just didn't move me.
Yeah. But I mean, it moved me when I was in there. But I left and I got back to. I was working from home yesterday, and I was just like, I will look back on it as a great movie, but there are other movies I've seen this year, like Logan, Big Sick, Get Out, that I just think about, and I'm like, oh, it still affects me. Dunkirk, great exercise in filmmaking. Yeah. Do I think it'll win Oscars? I think it will win Oscars. I think it'll be certainly
technical, like below the line.
Technical. Oh, again, another movie, best movie. I mean, it might be in there. I would say
it could be in there, absolutely.
Probably 55% chance of being in there. Do I think it'll win? I don't know. I think there
are
better
it has a shot at winning.
Movies.
It's the same argument as the Gravity 12 Years a Slave. Anything that is remotely close to 12 Years a Slave, just in terms of sheer emotion, is going to beat out the Gravity, the technical achievement, etc.
And there are other Chris Nolan movies that have stayed with me far longer. You know,
what is his best movie? Do you have a favorite Chris Nolan movie?
Following, man.
Really?
That's when I was in my indie days and stuff and working on indie movies, and this guy pulled together a hell of a structure.
You don't love The Dark Knight?
I don't like of course, it's the best comic book movie to date, but I hate the goddamn suit in the Nolan movies compared to what we have now.
The what?
The Batman suit.
Oh, the suit.
Being
the suit does not ruin Dark Knight for me. The Dark Knight is his best movie. Yeah. It is an all-timer.
Dark Knight or Prestige for me.
I rewatched The Prestige after Dunkirk. I went home and literally
Batman Begins as well. Yeah.
I'm not a Begins guy.
No, I'm a big Begins guy.
I'm a huge Denny O'Neil Ross.
But you liked Dunkirk?
Yeah, I love the dog fighting. I was rooting like, get him, come on.
Yeah, that shit was cool. And hopefully Top Gun takes some visual cues from that, because I thought that the aerial battles in Dunkirk were great. Did you see either of the new releases, Atomic Blonde or Emoji Movie?
I haven't. There was a screening on Monday for Atomic Blonde. There was some while I was away, but I just didn't have the time to see it. I'll probably pay to see it this weekend.
I was just tired.
Yeah.
Monday's a catch-up on sleep day for you guys. I saw Atomic Blonde on Monday night, and it's a fun movie. It's sexy. It's entertaining. But I just found the story very convoluted and preferred something like John Wick 2. There's the simple elegance where it's like, listen, we know there's not much story here, but you're going to see Keanu kill a lot of fucking people. This kind of tried to be like, no, we have a story. We have something else going on besides the ass kicking.
No, you don't.
It didn't really work for me. Anything else to add on the box office front?
No, that's it.
Okay. We'll move on. Big story this week. Anne Hathaway is going to play... or is in negotiations to play Barbie. This is a story that myself and the other trades had been holding for months, if I tell you, months. And then Richard Rushfield, who's the Ankler newsletter I've told you all to subscribe to, he put it in his newsletter, and as soon as I saw it in there, I called Sony. I said, listen, I'm posting. And they were like, it's not done. It's like still premature. Please don't. And I'm like, the cat's out of the bag. At that point, the cat is out of the bag, and the cat was honestly halfway out of the bag already because of that Amy Pascal New York Times interview in which she said there's an Oscar-winning actress in negotiations. I almost posted then and there. But yeah, that's that tricky line where it's like, you hold a story, and then here's Rushfield who, you know, is not in touch with CorpCon. He's not checking his scoops, you know, with the studio.
I miss
but
those days.
That's the upside of That's the upside of not playing ball. Is you just kind of get to trust your sources.
I miss the cowboy days of Latino Review and running my
I
own
miss
site,
them
man.
too for you
Like,
on your behalf. Honestly, like
no, I get a scoop good enough to run. Now it's like being a trade reporter now officially for a year as of Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. It's a different hustle. But I feel like it's like us asking permission to run a goddamn story.
yeah, there's definitely that feeling.
And there's always spin involved, you know. So it's
Yeah,
like that's been
definitely
the biggest
that feeling.
That's been the biggest education so far. But I miss the cowboy days. You tell me a scoop, all right, cool, let's run it. You know?
Yeah. Okay. But did you guys see the Chris Pine news this week?
That's pretty cool. What
Chris
the
Pine doing a TNT series with Patty Jenkins.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
and same thing with yesterday. Jenna Aniston and Reese Witherspoon doing TV. It's crazy.
She brings something out of Chris Pine that very few directors have actually managed to. There's something.
He was really good in that.
There is something between those two that just clicks, and I like it because I like Chris Pine, but he often doesn't bring it. He looks good, but doesn't bring it when it comes to performance.
I
But
wonder how they're going to bring him back for the sequel. It's going to be
they'll
interesting.
find a way.
That's what I think.
I joked with him
How do
about
you
that at
not have him back?
D23.
But
They have the option on him.
Yeah.
okay, what else? We have like five or 7 minutes. left
Okay,
of
can
the
we
show?
talk
5 minutes?
very briefly about a couple of things?
Yes.
IMAX is looking to start ditching 3D.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Which I'm not surprised about at all. I think the 3D bubble has burst. I think a
Yep.
lot of movies that either are shot in 3D or retrofitted 3D just don't look good enough.
Do you want to go away completely? Because I would still do 3D for something like Valerian or the Avatar sequels. In general, I hate it. It fucks with my eyes. I get a headache watching 3D.
Make it special, but there was a time, like 18 months ago, where everything was coming out
Right.
in 3D and 2D. Films that didn't need 3D.
I could do 2 or 3 films a year in 3D.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of it or no?
Avatar, yes. Non-Avatar, no.
Right.
I saw Spider-Man: Homecoming in 3D and 2D. Way better in 2D.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
And
always,
when you think that was a film that would suit 3D, no, it didn't.
when
It
they
looked
give you the
terrible.
option sometimes when
Yeah.
you get to the screening, they're like, do you want 2D or 3D? It's not even a choice. All right, we almost missed the biggest news of the week, which we have 4 minutes to talk about. James Bond.
Yeah.
James Bond
Yeah,
25. So Deadline drops a list of contenders.
Yeah.
David Mackenzie, who did Hell or High Water, Jan Demange, who has White Boy Rick coming up with Matthew McConaughey. Both of those guys did Jack O'Connell thrillers, 71 and Start Up, which
71 was awesome.
put him on the map. And then Denis Villeneuve is also in the mix, coming off of Blade Runner. An hour later, Kroll chimes in. Big Story of Variety, and he says that Jan Demange actually has the edge and is the front runner to get this job. And sure enough, Deadline updates a half an hour after that. So it looks like Jan Demange could be the guy. Is this a good thing? Do you wish it was one of the other two? Do you wish it was somebody else? Last few minutes of the show,
You
go
go
for
first.
it.
I think Villeneuve, that's how you say his name?
Villeneuve. You just Denis.
Yeah, no, I mean, considering he's on a hot streak right now, I would like to see him take a tackle at of James Bond. But it's the dichotomy between Deadline and Variety, like they go back and forth, is always interesting to me. But if the director of White Boy Rick is a contender, so be it.
They have to have seen that movie. They have to have seen an early cut if they are going with him, because you wouldn't just give him the job off of Startup. I don't think.
No way.
Simon.
Out of the two, I mean, I would probably Denis or Mackenzie. I'd really love, because I loved Hell or High Water. I thought that was especially good, and for a film of that budget to be so dramatically impactful and visually impactful, I think it would make really good sense. Given if you gave him a huge budget to do something, it would really be well spent. Denis, I just love his films. I think the dramatic pace of his films is absolutely spot on. Even if I don't love the films overall, I think he would do an amazing, and he could do big set pieces.
We have a big sample size, and obviously Blade Runner looks gorgeous. We have no idea if it's going to be a good movie or not. Could be a disaster.
Scale and content would
but it
be
looks
brilliant
gorgeous.
and can really connect with talent. Jan Demange, if that is the lead, if he is the lead, sure.
Did you see 71?
Yeah, I did. I loved it. I really enjoyed it.
really good,
The thing
really
is, a lot of
tense.
people didn't. And it wasn't a huge hit. It was a hit, but it wasn't a huge hit. I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. But I mean, I'm always open to see these smaller directors in terms of Hollywood get a project like this. We've been burnt like that with Bond before, and I'm just a little bit nervous that the franchise couldn't take another film that's not quite good.
Is there anyone else who you wish was getting a chance to sort of give Daniel Craig his goodbye? And it does look like he is coming back. The New York Times itself posted a story that definitively left no room, for argument.
I'd chase that story. Went to MGM Corp Coms.
I mean, it was obvious. It was obvious Daniel Craig was coming back.
Yeah. See, no comment from CAA.
Kroll actually joked at his wedding.
Oh man.
While he had Boris and I seated, like, you know, he was like, by the way, Daniel Craig's back as James Bond. But
for a lot of money, a lot of FU money from what I'm hearing.
You see, off the back of things like Man from U.N.C.L.E., I would love to see Guy Ritchie, but off the back of things like King Arthur, I think we're not going to see that now. I just think that whole Britishness, bringing another British director to the table would have been superb, but that's not going to happen.
It won't be Nolan, right?
I wish.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Off the strength of Dunkirk, I think, again, going back to the point of it looking amazing, being a masterclass in filmmaking, but just not holding with you long enough. I don't.
We've got to wrap it up, unfortunately. So I did not get to rant about Detroit, which I saw last night. I was disappointed by. But Umberto, tell the good folks where we can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at El Mayimbe, at therap.com, and heroichollywood.com.
All right, Simon?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ShowbizSimon, and you can find me on Facebook. This is Simon Thompson.
And I'm Jeff Snyder, editor-in-chief of the Tracking Board, tracking-board.com. We got Drew McWeeny reviewing for us now, so check out those reviews each week. That'll do it for Meet the Movie Press. You can watch the Popcorn Talk Network. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Boy.
The Ace Scooper himself, guys. Hope you enjoyed the post-Comic-Con episode. Next week, we'll talk to you.
Peace.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.